In this video, we're going to show you how to install front struts on your Fiat 500 located behind your front wheels. With the vehicle raised and supported, go ahead and use a pry bar or a tool to go ahead and pop off this hubcap. Using an 18mm socket, loosen and remove the lug studs. Go ahead and set those aside. Grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now once you have your wheel off, you want to go ahead and start by spraying down the points that we're going to be disconnecting. So we have our two studs here from our strut to our knuckle. So I sprayed that down with some rust penetrant. And then up here we have our sway bar end link. You want to go ahead and spray that down too. Let that soak for a little bit, and while we're here, I want to go ahead and disconnect our ABS wire from its retainers. Now you never want to grab the wire and pull this off. You want to go ahead and use your fingers and gently work this out of the bracket. Just kind of rock that back and forth, gently wiggling that free, and then you pull that off of the bracket. Now if you go up in the back here, there's going to be two more points here. I want to go ahead and do the same here. Now with that free, well, that should give us a lot of play here when we go ahead and separate that strut from the knuckle. Now right here, we have our brake flex hose. We're also going to go ahead and separate that. Simply slide that out of the bracket. I'm going to go ahead and grab my wheel assembly and I'm going to rotate it. Using a 16mm deep socket, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the nut here on our sway bar end link. Now I was pulling the sway bar end link back in order to go ahead and put some pressure on it and let me loosen that nut. Now for any reason, if you can't do that, there is an Allen key in here. You go ahead and use the appropriate Allen key to hold this here, and then just use a wrench to go ahead and loosen the nut. Using a 17mm socket, I want to go ahead and loosen and remove the nut here on our strut bolt. Now on this side here, the bolt is spinning, so we're going to use our 15mm box wrench here. You can use a regular wrench. Remove that nut, and then we're going to do the same on the bottom. Keep the bolt in place. Now next thing we want to do is go ahead and pop out our strut to knuckle bolts. We're going to use this using a hammer. Go ahead and tap these out. Now you want to be careful. Once these come out, this knuckle can pull away from the strut assembly. Now what you want to pay attention to here is you don't want to have premature or abnormal pressure here or on here pulling on it. So we may have to use a securing strap to hold this assembly kind of close to the body so it doesn't flop out too far away. Now sometimes if you have to, you can use a punch here to go ahead and tap this bolt out. Push in on that knuckle and then go ahead and pull that out. Let's go ahead and do the same for the upper one. Just kind of wiggle on this back and forth. You can get that bolt out, and you can see that our knuckle just dropped down. Go ahead and separate these here. At this point here, our strut is loose down below. We're now going to go up top into the engine compartment and go ahead and separate it up there. Now with the hood open, you're going to go ahead and reach in here. It's just beside the wiper cowl cover. Now there's a black plastic cap here. You're literally just going to reach in, put your finger under the edge of it, and just pop that off. This piece right here pops on top of the strut stud right there. We're going to use a 18mm swivel socket with an extension. I'm going to see if we can go ahead and loosen this knot. Now as we're loosening this here, the strut itself is going to start to lower on the inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the impact gun on the top, and I'm going to capture the strut as it drops down. There it is. We're going to grab the strut here, just work that out. Now with the strut removed, reach in here and remove the upper cap. On the new strut assembly, go ahead and remove that nut and remove the cap. You never want to go ahead and loosen this nut here, because then the compressed spring will bounce out and that could cause some injury. So make sure you're just removing the nut that's already loose with the cap. I'm going to set the cap and the nut here, and I'm going to go ahead and feed the strut up into the body, and I'm going to reach over the top and get that cap on and thread that nut on. Now with that nut on there, a few threads, I'm going to go ahead and let that strut hang. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and line this up a little bit and bring your strut over. And we'll go ahead and raise this up a little bit. It's a small car, so it's pretty easy to go ahead and raise this up in a position. What we do want to do is get our bolt ready to go. Now we did run the bolt through the wire wheel machine, and I put some anti-seize compound on there. When you clean those threads there, those nuts just thread on nice and easy. While we're here, let's go ahead and get the sway bar end link stud in there. And let's go ahead and get that nut started. With our hardware installed here, I'm going to go ahead and remove my securing strap. I'm going to go ahead and snug these down. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and install my flex hose here for my brakes. Now, if you want a little tip, if you take a little bit of spray solvent and give that rubber a quick squirt here, in most cases, it helps that rubber slide right on quick and easy. We're going to do this for all of our pieces here. Torque down the knuckle nuts here to 55 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and torque down the sway bar end link nut to 41 foot-pounds. Now we have our floor jack right here, and we have the head of it right on the bottom portion of our lower control arm. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and slowly jack this up, and then we're going to watch the upper bearing plate here. And what we want to do is go ahead and compress this. And what we're doing is we're compressing our strut, and we're making sure that we have some upper pressure on this here. Now that we have pressure on the strut itself, we're going to go ahead and tighten down our upper strut nut. Then we're going to snug that gently. Now we're going to come back and we're going to torque that down. Now you can try using the crow's foot here with the swivel and the extension, and in most cases you can be just fine with that. But if you can't do that there, go ahead and use a trim tool, and we need to go ahead and pop up our cowl cover here. So you're going to do that by releasing the center of the button here and then pop out the base. Now we can go ahead and lift this up. Now we have a strut nut tool here. It requires a 1/2 inch ratchet or torque wrench, and that's going to fit over the top of this. You can see not only do we have the option to use our ratchet on the top, but then we have room to put our Allen key in here and hold it. Now, looks like we're gonna have to pop out our next retainer button further down so we can lift this up a little bit further. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and pop that out. And we can go ahead and lift this up and we can prop it with something else so we can go ahead and access inside here. Just go ahead and pry that up. Get our torque wrench on here. And then get our Allen key in there to hold that post. Torque this down to 48 foot-pounds. All right, now we can go ahead and remove our tools. Let's go ahead and pop our strut cap onto the top here. Go ahead and work our wiper cowl back up in a position. And let's install our plastic retainers. And we'll go ahead and get that one over in the center. Let's go ahead and lower our jack. And remove that. Now before you install your wheel, I'm going to go ahead and use some solvent to go ahead and just wipe off the surface of my brake rotor here. Just want to make sure that this is clean and that I didn't get any contaminants on it when I was twisting this around with my gloves or anything like that. Go ahead and straighten this out. Now at this point here, you can grab your wheel. I'm going to go ahead and line these studs up with the pins on the wheel. Let's get the lug studs, and we'll get all those started, and then we'll snug them down. Now we want to torque down the lug nuts to 63 foot-pounds. Now if your vehicle is equipped with the steel wheels and you have hubcaps, you want to go ahead and locate the valve stem on the wheel right here, and then you want to match it up to the notch on the hubcap itself. Line that up and then pop your cap on. Now after performing this job, you want to bring the vehicle down and get it professionally aligned. That's going to prevent premature component wear as well as premature tire wear. At that point there, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.